All right, you guys. This is what you got, some networking going on. It's going to be like pulling teeth from a baby to get everyone in their chairs. Because everyone likes to network. Stay tuned. All right. All right, you guys. Grab your water, grab a snack. We're going to get started here in just a minute. I know. You want to hear this guy just got a free house buying something too? I know. I'm trying to buy a deal. It's okay if you are. We'll step outside and keep writing the check. Alright, you guys, I know. This is the big stuff. Anytime I attend a seminar, Mr. Leon Johnson taught me this, there's always two seminars. The one that happens when he speaks up here, and then the one that happens when you talk to people, right? You learn from like two different scenarios. So I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Look, I want to take as much time as I can with him. Tell me this: who here is it your first night? All right, so I'm a big reader. I give out books every time. Give and Take. This is a book I read earlier this year. This is a good book about talking about, are you a giver, are you a taker, or a matcher, which is basically you're going to see, hey, is this person going to take, is this person going to give, and you kind of try to match what you're seeing. I love giving out books, and so for those of you who like to read, if you follow me on Instagram, you see I like to post what I read throughout the year. I read this earlier this year. It was pretty good. Again, if your first time here tonight, raise your hand, please. All right. You know what? He's in our military. I want to thank him with Veterans Day. You're a veteran or active military. Can you stand up, please? Wow. Look, guys, I want to get started. I want to get rolling. Look, I know it's hot. It's because you guys are jumping and diving in there, I know. Look, so we've got the live stream going. If you guys don't know, we do our best to videotape these and put them online. Before I bring Dave up here, I want to tell you two things. One, I love it when you guys engage, when you ask questions, when you do things like that. So you're welcome. I got permission from Dave. You're allowed to ask questions while he teaches. What I'm going to say as a host and a moderator is, if you derail him, trust me, I've heard what he's going to share. On the back end, you're going to miss some of those things, right? It's kind of the double-edged sword of asking a question. But I want to do that. Here's the other thing. We've had a very long day today. I have caffeinated him a few times for your benefit. Yeah, he's happy. I told you that coffee, right?
Oh, it's good.
So,
It's good.
There is going to be a level that I'm going to cut him off and get him on the road to New Orleans. To whoever's Airbnb, you're welcome. I invested into your investment. No, I'm kidding. But it's, so just know that. you know, anytime we have these speakers, I want to do my best to honor them and get them out at a reasonable time. But other than that, you guys, take out your pen. It's a great opportunity to learn. Next event, same room. I will, again, call earlier and say, lower please, on the AC, December 8th here, and I will announce who will be speaking. But without further ado, Mr. Dave Dey.
Hey guys, how y'all doing today? So, I know we're in an interesting time frame here. I usually don't bring up any political things, but I do want to tell you I have very strong beliefs between red jambalaya and brown jambalaya. I really have very strong beliefs about this, and I'm going to convince you to come over to my side. Paul is going to be serving it after this meeting. No, guys, thank you very much for coming. You guys, and today's topic is about leverage. And so I wanted to, I didn't really prepare a big presentation or anything like that, and I almost feel like I should be the one sitting here when guys like Leon are out there, and some of the superstars that are already in the group. I know that Courtney could very easily talk about this. I know that Leon could very easily talk about this. Paul, of course. But I'm going to try and do my best about it, and I'm going to tell you guys, number one, that leverage, well, let me ask you thank you, this one question. When you think of leverage, what do you guys think of? Feel free. Please.
I don't know. That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Good answer.
I really don't know.
Sure. Anybody else, please. That's a good answer, though.
Moving big things with little effort.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Robot.
Absolutely.
Low down payment.
Money. Exactly. And so let's get that one out of the way first, because most people, when they think of leverage, they think about money. And click on this here. So when it comes to money, we all know, or we've all heard the statement that this business is OPM, other people's money. That's what this is all about, and it's all about leveraging when it comes to money. Let me first say this. Money is, of course, important. Of course it is. And when you do these deals, sooner or later, someone's got to come up with the money, whether you're wholesaling or retailing, fix and flipping, buying and holding. Someone actually has to come up with the money, or else nobody gets paid. So it is important. But money is actually one of the lowest levels of leverage in this business. So we're going to get that one out of the way first. Of course, when we talk about leverage and money, what do you think of? You think of getting a first deed of trust,
Mortgage.
getting a mortgage, a private lender, bank financing, that sort of hard money, that sort of thing. And of course, we all have heard that's the way to fund your deals. If you're wholesaling, you want to make sure that your buyer has either the cash or the leverage to be able to close on. And so, of course, hard money and all that's there. But if all you can think of regarding the money is finding a hard money lender, a private lender, and a first lien position and such, you're missing a whole lot of the boat. Okay. We will talk about the private money and the hard money and leverage with that, but it is still just the beginning. So when you are talking, we'll start with the private money and the hard money. When it comes to private lenders, every private lender, every investor asks two questions. Every seller, every buyer, everyone that makes an investing decision, period, asks two questions. Question one, what's my security? Question two, what's my return? That's it. Think about it. Whether it's Mr. Paul as a private lender, and he asks you what kind of skin you have into the game, what kind of experience you have, what kind of exit strategy you have, or Bank of America, when they look at your 1003, your tax returns, your bank statements, all those things. What are they really doing? They're asking, what's my security? How am I not going to lose my money? It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward when it comes to that. And if you'll notice with a bank, we'll come back to that actually. I'll come back to that. But think about it this way. A private lender, let's say a bank lends you the money and you don't pay the bill. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to foreclose on you. They may even sue you. They may go after you financially, but it's not personal. They're just doing their job. Mr. Paul, who's saved up his money, working over his entire life, he's put it in his self-directed IRA, and he's trusted you with that money, and you default on that loan, well, it is a little more personal. So you gotta make sure you answer that question, that first question, what's my security? So I'm gonna ask one of you guys in this room, when Mr. Paul is standing in front of, or is sitting in front of you, you've got a deal. By the way, if you answer those two questions adequately to that lender's satisfaction, they will always fund your deal. And if you haven't gotten your deal funded, look at these two questions. This is where you rule it. What's my security? What's my return? So Mr. Paul is sitting in front of you. You have a deal that needs to be funded. And he says, what's my security? What's your answer? Anybody? The property?
Mortgage.
The mortgage? Sounds about right? That's what most people would answer. By the way, good answer. Okay? Most people would answer, it's the property. It's the first lien position with lots of equity behind it. That's a great answer. It's also wrong. Okay? That is the collateral. The collateral and security are two different things. The collateral is the property. The security is you. If they like you, if they trust you, if they believe in you, 99% of the deal is already done. Now all you got to do is keep your word. On the other hand, if they don't like you, they don't believe you, they don't trust you, and they don't believe in you, you could give them the best deal in the world. 10 cents on the dollar. They're not going to fund your deal. Why? Because they don't like you, trust you, or believe in you. So that's where many times people are getting it wrong. I was going to jump on the part with the bank, and I said I'd hold it back for this moment. Think about it. When a bank is underwriting a deal, what are they doing? They're checking you out, so on and so forth. The only two things they're doing on the property is the appraisal and the survey and the inspection, and they're outsourcing that. What are they really underwriting? They're underwriting you. So where most people are blowing it is because they are trying to sell the deal when they should be selling themselves. They should be talking about what makes them a good credit risk, a good investment risk. If you can get that part done, then what's my return becomes a very simple answer, and that's negotiable. Find out what they need, find out what their hot buttons are, and this is the beautiful thing. Most people, they're too busy offering whatever they want to offer. Oh, I'm giving 12% money on that. For some people, that's a great return. For other people, that might actually signal, oh, that's too good to be true. Okay, so it's better to find out, just like you would when you're buying a house. What do? These are your best tools of negotiation. You know the old saying, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them accordingly. Well, those are the 2 ears that God gave you. Use them when you're talking to your private lender. Find out what they want. Find out what their criteria is, and see that it matches. So that absolutely is a key point to getting funded. But if all we're dealing with is a first mortgage lien and such, that pretty much only covers, you know, the standard deal that you can get at 65 cents on the dollar or different things like that. Mr. Leon here is one of the absolute experts in creative financing. Well, what about those deals where you can actually leverage the owner, but you do need down payment assistance? Okay, so how do you get a backer for that? Because you can leverage that aspect too. Okay, so in regards to, for example, when you're talking about a deal that isn't necessarily that first lien, how do we answer the question, what's my security? What's my return? I'm going to give you a way that you could leverage that. Okay, and again, it's always about relationship. That collateral is property, but the security is you. Okay, so once you've done that, once you've proven that, and by the way, like, trust, and believe is a process. They'll never get to believe in you if they don't like you. So we start with 1, like. 2 is the trust. That's when they're gonna, okay, I'll give you a shot. And by the way, the first deal is always the most difficult because they're getting to know you, you're getting to know them. It's always going to be the most difficult. But if you keep your word and you do your part, then they believe in you. Now it's not so much about the deal, it's who they're lending to. I've had private lenders actually meet me in McDonald's parking lots to hand me the check so that I could buy at the steps. And they weren't worried at all. It wasn't attached, no, but they knew that I was not going to ruin that relationship. I was not going to let that be an issue. So, what's a way that we could deal with what's my security when it comes to properties that aren't necessarily first lien positions? Again, number 1 is what's my security, which is me. But number 2, you can still show them how they have security in that transaction. For example, you could leverage vehicles like LLCs or land trusts. Okay? How's this for an idea? So I have a property that's got a mortgage on it that I want to do a subject to on. You guys know what a subject to is? Okay.
Break it down some.
Sure.
That in the lien position, what do you mean by?
So lien positions, mortgages and liens are always in regards to the placement in public records. It's who gets paid first. That's what it's always about when it comes to lien positions. Who gets paid first? So a first mortgage on a property or first deed of trust, if it were to get foreclosed on, always gets paid first. The second mortgage would get paid only after the first is paid. So if, for example, there's a foreclosure sale and the property's bid at the courthouse steps, it would have to bid past the first lien because they would have to get paid first. The second would only get paid if the first was paid. So that does actually put the second in a scarier position. So how do you answer the question there? What's my security? Well, one of the ways that we do it is we let the lender actually buy the property. Instead of just being a lien holder on the property, we could actually buy the property in an LLC, let him be the partner or the actual managing member of the LLC until the loan is paid off. I don't necessarily care about owning a property, I just want the control of it. And by the way, that is an absolutely powerful element of leverage. Okay? You don't always have to own the property to leverage it. Leon, you'd be happy with that one. I know I can feel you smiling inside with that one. You don't have to always own the property to leverage it. We see management companies, the Airbnb I'm staying at, is run by an investor on behalf of the owner. They're leveraging. Absolutely leveraging. So, with a property, let's say we have a property that's worth $100,000. And it's got a $60,000 mortgage on it. The owner needs $10,000 to walk away from the property and is willing to leave the mortgage in place. Well, it wouldn't make sense to go and get a $60,000 or $70,000 first mortgage and pay this off. It makes better sense to get the 10 grand, give it to them, and leave that lien in place. That's, again, another form of leverage, using the owner's financing in place. So how would we use that? What's my security? When that lender, when Paul says, how am I not going to lose my money? So I say to you, Mr. Paul, what if I go ahead and create an LLC for you, and I have you buy the property, and I'll manage it for you. I'll lease it, or I'll flip it. I'll fix it up, and you put up that $10,000. You are the owner of the property until you get paid off. What's that for him? That's security. He's not only the lien holder, even though he's in second position, he really is. But he has the security of being the owner of the property. We just took a creative approach to answer his question. What's my security? You actually own the property. And now all it is what's the return? We can split the profits. We can talk about an interest return. What if I offered you 50% return on your money? That's only $5,000 on that 10. I just used his 10 to make the deal happen. I gave him 5 for his trouble, for his money. It's a great return on investment for him. If we've talked about it and that works for him, that's a great return on investment. I get to do the deal with no money down. I got to leverage his finance, his money, the owner's financing, and turn that into a no money down deal. And whatever that return is actually unlimited, because I put 0 into it, and if I make $1, it's still unlimited.
Dave, do you use financial calculator?
I do, not to the degree that Leon does.
You might know. I've been wanting to, I'm going to further introduce people to financial calculators.
Oh, absolutely.
Understanding a return is so key. There's so many people who I feel like, when you ask them what the return is, and, oh, well, Bear Pocket say I need to get the 1% rule. Okay, well, do you know what your money is earning? So the return part is crucial. So learning how to use a financial calculator. It's not about liking the math. It's not. It's about how that reflects to money. And so Mr. Leon has been instrumental to introducing people to the financial calculator. You want to learn how to tell an investor what their return is? Hold on, let me pull out my calculator. Y'all, I do not like math. I will play on that calculator helped me win deals time and time again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give you a very basic analogy of how it's all about ROI, return on investment. Okay? And I'll just give you a very basic concept. Okay? You buy a house for $100,000 and you sell it for $120,000. Okay? Your return, if you pay cash for that $100,000 house, you got a 20% return on investment. Now, if you were able to give them $10,000, it's still a $100,000 purchase. They owner financed 90 of it, and you gave them 10, and you made $20,000 profit. Your ROI, 200%. So you get the power of using leverage, the power of ROI. So you always want to do that, actually, in every aspect of your business. We're talking about the money side of things, but it is absolutely a key point to what this is all about. Leverage is all about ROI, whether it's money, relationships, knowledge, credibility. We're going to be talking about all of these things. But that's what leverage is all about. It's all about ROI. And so in the end, I want you guys to understand, we talked about just two concepts with the money. We talked about, of course, you can do a standard process with a first lien and such. The other is you can leverage some creative strategies to be able to get a better ROI with less money out of pocket, less money out of your lender's pocket, and you're able to do a better return on investment. So I want you to remember two things about contracts. Contract, in the end, which a deed of trust is, a novation agreement, a agreement to a partnership agreement, a buy, resell, any of these agreements, they're contracts. Okay? And there's only two limitations to a contract. Number one, it's got to be legal, ethical, and a win-win situation. That's number one. Number two, the only other limitation is your imagination. Okay? If you want to trade properties, if you want to include dinner for a year with that brown jambalaya, you can work it in as long as it's a win-win situation. It's a legal, ethical, and a win-win situation. The only other part is your creativity. So you can use that. Just think about that in your leverage process. The next step or the next piece that you can on a deal, leverage, is the owner. Okay? We talked about, in regards to, for an example, we were able to talk about the mortgage that we have. There are all sorts of ways that you can leverage the owner. Number one is the title itself and the problem that the owner has. Let me actually pause for a second. I'm going to give you this analogy. And I actually mentioned it to you earlier. I always use this example. Coach Lombardi, the Green Bay Packers. He was the greatest coach. He was, besides of course Bill Belichick and
Sean Payton, you're in Saints territory.
I wasn't forgetting. And by the way, I love them destroying the Bucs. See, I'm a Peyton Manning fan. And so, I have very strong political beliefs between Peyton and Brady too, but that's another story. But I sure enjoy seeing that destruction the other day. But, so Coach Lombardi, he had just brought the team to the national championships, but they lost in the national championships. And so they were kind of smarting. They were ready for this next season, and they were ready to take the knowledge that the coach was going to give, and they were going to use it to win it all this time. And so he stands behind the podium, and everybody gets their notebooks out, and everybody's ready to go. He says, guys, we're going back to the basics. This is a football. And there was, of course, one smart but person in the audience there who says, slow down, coach, I can't write fast enough. But the idea behind that, this is a football. We as real estate investors, we get into the numbers, we get into the CRMs, we get into the technicalities and stuff, but sometimes we forget the actual basics. This is a football. What are we as real estate investors? We're professional problem solvers. That's what we are. That's what I'm actually doing here in Louisiana right now. We are working on some. May I? Okay. We're working on dealing with the storm affected areas in Lake Charles. Okay. Back in 2005 was my first time coming to New Orleans. It's like coming home, you know, because after Katrina, we came into the area, and over the course of 3 years, we bought and sold over 650 homes here, not counting commercial and multifamily and so on and so forth. But we were, and since then we've been in Panama City, we've been in Houston, we've dealt with multiple storms in multiple areas. And what is that? A situation of, you know, you can look at it two different ways. They did an article, like you mentioned, on us in the Wall Street Journal. I apparently am a money-grubbing investor. But the truth of the matter is, they have a problem. And if we don't solve it, was their government going to do it? Was the housing authority going to fix all their properties? Were the realtors going to do it? No. It actually took people to come out there, if not us, who? And so where most people get this thought process when they think of investors, and they think of the money-grubbing investors out there, they think of people trying to steal equity. I explain it this way. We all have currency. When John Q. Public goes to buy a house, they go ahead and they go to a bank, they use their credit currency to get a mortgage. They use that mortgage currency to get cash, which they pay the seller for their equity. It's a fair trade. But we have a currency too. Our currency is problem solving. We take our currency of problem solving and we exchange that for their equity, and that's a fair trade. If you leverage your problem solving abilities to be able to make good deals and to get equity. When new investors come to me and say, well, I want to buy houses at 50 cents on the dollar, and I want to make $100,000 a month, and all that, okay, great, what problems are you willing to solve? And then they look at me like a deer in headlights, and I have to say, you understand, if they didn't have a problem, why would they sell to you for any less than retail? And if you're trying to get that equity without solving the problem, then you're stealing. It's got to be a fair trade. So you can leverage those issues in exchange for equity, and that can be a great, great, powerful tool. So, for example, why would somebody want to sell their perfectly good house for less than retail? Anybody?
Foreclosure.
Foreclosure, okay, financial issues, absolutely. Stress, absolutely. I call it the 4 Ds. Okay, so you'll see tax delinquent, and how many people have heard about buying lists? Okay, everybody is, okay. And what do they tell you to buy? You can buy the tax delinquent list, the code enforcement list, the pre-foreclosure list, the abandoned house list, stuff like that. Why would they abandon a perfectly good house? Okay? Those are the symptoms. These are the roots, the 4 Ds. Death, divorce, disaster, that could be financial or natural, like what's going on in Lake Charles, or detention, jail.
Seriously though.
Hey, seriously, you could also change that to dumb. It could be, whatever.
Drugs.
Drugs, that usually ends up in detention. So absolutely. But those are the 4 Ds, okay? So, of course, tax delinquent, IRS liens, all those things, you look for the root cause, that's the problem. And one of the powerful things about that is, now that you know that you're a problem solver, it makes this business actually very easy. All you do is go to where the problems are. Okay? And here's the thing. The death, divorce, disaster, detention, all those things, check this out. It's all a matter of public records. From your birth certificate to your death certificate, from your marriage certificate to your divorce decree, from your job, and you're buying a house, and the mortgage and the deed, to the foreclosure and the bankruptcy, even the jail record, the criminal record, it's all public records. What is public records? It is a compendium of major life events. Okay? So you can actually leverage those public records to be able to get deals. Now I'm going to say something that's going to blow a lot of you guys away. I spent 0 on marketing.
How many deals do you do? How many deals have you done?
Over 2,000.
Okay. Given year, how many deals you do?
Nowadays,
You do bigger deals and
bigger and stuff
but
like
you
that.
do frequent deals every month, many deals every year.
Absolutely.
How much money do you pay for marketing again?
0.
For those of you who aren't marketing, that's a moment.
You don't need a financial calculator to figure that out. 0. Okay? But I spend 0. I do all of my research. If you actually learn to leverage public records, it's a business in a box. You can find all your deals there. You can find all your buyers there. You can even find all the money to put it all together. It's all there. Because when you're looking at deals, what did we just talk about? Those 4 Ds, those issues, those problems that you're solving. And all of those are a matter of public records. You can actually go into the civil records. You can see the divorce decrees and such. You can see the probates. You can see the pre-foreclosures. You can see the tax delinquents. You can see all of those things. Absolutely. And when it comes to buying, well, when you so those are the problems, and they're all a matter of public record. When it comes to the selling, you actually have the buyers. And here's the thing: public records don't lie. If they showed up in public records, it's only because they pulled the trigger. Okay? I'll give you an example. I had a gentleman who had bought a mobile home park, a small mobile home park, 10 units in Lakeland, Florida, for like 50 grand. It was a very small number. It was very beat up, it was all that. But he tried to sell it. What do most people do? They go ahead and send it out to their list. They go ahead and put it on Facebook Marketplace and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he didn't get any buyers. So he just started, he was like, you know what, I'm done. I'll go ahead and he called me. He said, Dave, if you can sell it, I'll just sell it to you for what I got into it, 50 grand. You can go ahead, you can do all of that. If you can sell it, just make what you want. Because he was done with it. So what did I do? I utilized and leveraged those public records. Did you know that in your county, in your parish, is a database of every single property in that county? That's your property appraiser. Your property assessor has a database of every single property in that county. Why? To charge taxes. But of course, you can't charge the same amount of tax and the same millage on tax for your single-family home as you could for a mobile home park, because they're two different types of property. So they have something called a DOR use code, or a property use code. So if you contacted your property appraiser like I did, I asked them for a list of every single small mobile home park in that county. Guess what they did? They gave it to me. It was public record.
You didn't have to pay for that? They
I
just,
did not have to pay for it.
you just asked and they just
I
gave it
just
right to
asked it and they gave it. That's exactly right.
Talk about, how many cents per lead was that?
you.
Who's saying? Gotcha.
And the beautiful thing about it, so what I did is I got that entire list and I just organized that list from newest to oldest. Guess what those newest ones were? Buyers. There's my list. And the only reason they showed up was because they pulled the trigger. They bought. How's that for a list? So I just called. Within 30 days, I had that sold for $79,000 and I was done. I literally make and leverage public records to make reverse lists of any wholesale property I have. Okay? I actually don't have to send it out to hundreds of thousands of people on that list and such, because it's usually the same 20 people that buy anyways. So, if that. So I go in there and I find that list. There's there's all sorts of ways you can utilize just that one trick that I gave you just now.
You said that you got that from an appraiser?
Property appraiser.
Tax
That's
assessor.
the tax assessor, property appraiser's office. Great site for you guys to have. It's netonline.com. NET, the letter R, online.com. This site is one, if you're gonna ever use public records, this is the one to use. Because it'll literally take you to you'll go on there, and the first thing you'll see is you'll see a bunch of tabs there. The middle tab will be public records online. Click on that one. The rest of them are pay stuff. But this is a portal site that they provide to all 3,500 plus counties in the country. And it's free. So there you go. Take it, you go to the state, they've got a little pressable map of the United States. Click on Louisiana, it'll give you a list of the parishes. Click on the parish you want, it'll give you property appraiser, tax collector, clerk of courts, register of deeds, GIS map, all the public records that there are. They'll give you the phone numbers and they'll give you the website if there is one for them. So, and it's free, so you might as well use it. All right?
That was NetR online?
Yes, NET, the letter R, online.com. So, let's say you got the deal, and now it's time to close. How can we leverage the owner? Since we were talking about leveraging the owner, how can we leverage the owner? There's two questions every investor should ask their seller when you're at the closing table. 99% never ask these two questions and leave hundreds, if not millions of dollars on the table. Question one, what else you got?
Seriously.
I'm telling you, that is one of the most overlooked questions. I bought in Lubbock, Texas. I bought a 241 unit mobile home park. And I bought it for $750,000. Very, very good price. Seller actually carried back 650 of it in a second. No payments, no interest for a year. Think I got a good deal?
Excellent.
So first question I asked, what else you got? Unfortunately, he said, truth is, that was my last part. But if you'd asked me last year, I had 5 others. Imagine if I had asked him, if I had gotten that deal a year ago and I'd asked him that same question, we might not be talking today. You'd see that Zoom from Hawaii or something. But that one question can literally make you a mint by asking them, what else you got? They either might have something or know someone that might have something. You are at a very high credibility point at this point. You might as well ask. Question 2. Anybody got an idea what question 2 would be?
What you can do with all that money?
What are you going to do with all that money you just got? What's my security? Like me, trust me, they believe in me. What are you going to do with all that money? Almost every seller that I've asked always says this. Well, I'm going to pay off some bills, I'm going to do something nice for the family, and I'm going to put the rest in savings, or I'm going to invest the rest, or I'm going to put it into a CD. To which you say, really, how much are you going to bring on that CD? 1.5%, 1%, to which you get this really surprised look on your face. And you say, really? Let me tell you about something that we do. Actually, and this is the way I'll say it, did you know how I bought your property? Actually, a previous seller that I had bought and I'd solved his problem actually backed me on buying yours. And he made 7% on his money. Because think about it. You will never be at a higher position of credibility than you are right now. Okay? You've just put money in their pocket. You've just proven yourself to be a deal maker and a deal doer. You have great taste in property. You bought theirs. I mean, really. So I asked Mr. Mobile Home Park seller, what are you going to do with all that money? Well, I'm going to pay off some bills, do something nice for the family, put the rest in a savings account. Well, did you know how I actually bought? No. And before all was said and done, it became one of our property lenders. That's one way you can leverage the seller, the owner. Additionally, you can leverage the credibility in letters of reference from every person that you deal with. Okay, when you do a deal, you get a letter of reference from the title company, from the realtor, from the buyer, from the seller. Get it from everybody. You can leverage the credibility of that deal. And you can absolutely use that to build your credibility for the next deal. And the last one I want to bring up to you is your network. How can you leverage your network? What are we here for? That's actually what we're here for right now. We're leveraging this network for knowledge. We're leveraging this network for connections. We're leveraging this network, and if you do it right, guys, you can make all the money you need to. You can create your own private economy right in here if you leverage your network. You can leverage credit partners, buying between each other, refinancing. There's all sorts of ways you can leverage partners. Money. For every good deal you have here, somebody has, in this room, has money that's looking for a deal that might be willing to partner with you, or buy from you, or lend to you. All of those are leverage, time and effort. One of the things, we bought a house. And this is one of my favorites. You guys have heard about the Tampa 3. It just happened a few months ago. One of the hottest areas in Tampa, Florida. We bought the house for $3,000. We didn't touch it. We sold it. I actually never looked at it. Because, I mean, how bad can it be at $3,000? A lot's got to be worth that. We bought it for $3,000. We sold it for $160,000.
Did you fix it up?
No, didn't touch it. Didn't touch it. The only thing we did was break into it. My people.
Your people? No, I was kidding.
I leveraged.
Yes, leverage.
I leveraged. But in a situation like that, we tracked down, it was an estate situation. So death, divorce, disaster, detention, this was an estate. So it was the death situation. We found an heir. I know some of you were talking to the title company owner and talking about succession and such. And I want you guys to know, when you find those properties that have what seem to be no heirs, there's no such thing. Okay, there's at least 27 different levels of succession, 27 different levels of heirship. There's only 7 levels of separation from Kevin Bacon. So if you can get him to sign your deeds, you're done. Okay, but we found the heir in Washington D.C. Not Washington D.C. Washington State. And we tried skip tracing. We tried all these different tools. No way we could get them to pick up the phone. None of the numbers worked. So that's one of the reasons nobody was able to do a deal with it. I had one of my students that happens to live in Seattle. I actually got him to go to the house that the guy lived at. We had his address. Knocked on the door, handed him the phone. I was on a Zoom call with a bunch of students. I closed the deal on the phone in front of them in that Zoom call for $3,000. The first thing he says, I don't want nothing to do with that property. I said, oh, great, I'll tell you how you'll never have to deal with it again, and I'm going to give you $3,000. He's like, and these were his exact words. You show me the greenbacks, I'll show you my John Hancock. So, you can't make something like that up. But I leveraged my connection in Seattle to get a deal that nobody else could get done, and ended up getting an incredible deal as a result of that.
Did that guy know he was getting that money?
He had no idea.
Found money for him.
It was found money.
$3,000. He must have shared a post on Facebook that said, if you share this today, money's going to drop out of the sky.
You know what, that could be a good way of doing things from now on. No, actually, it was kind of funny. When we did the 3,000, he told us that one of the things he was going to do when he got his 3,000 was he was going to pay some bills, and he was going to get himself. No, we didn't turn him into a private. Let's stop.
I was about to say on 3,000.
Pretty good.
Now,
Put the
Dave,
rest in the savings.
Dave, you could do something great on 3,000. I don't doubt that. But did you ask him if he had anything else?
You know what? He didn't. I did ask him.
Okay, there you go.
And he did not have anything else on that one because he had moved, 20 years prior. He was so far removed from the deal. But he said, I'm gonna pay some bills and I'm going to get a little bit of Jack Daniels. And so we went ahead. I had my student actually meet him with the notary and got all the documents and everything for the succession, for the probate. We're a judicial state in Florida, so for the probate, for the deed and all those things, and we brought him the cash actually, and we brought him a little lanyard.
Little lanyard. See, we turning him. He's been around here long enough. He knows lanyard.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you can leverage their proximity. You can leverage their time, their effort. You can use this network. You can use who do you know. Can absolutely be used
Well,
in there.
a great part of leverage was your student didn't know how to handle that deal. He said, all I know, I've come across something that sounds like potential.
Oh,
So who did he leverage? I can't tell you how many times I've solved major deals or broken into a new strategy by leveraging some of the mentors I had stand up, helped me get into new types of deals.
absolutely.
You think the guy would have ever gotten the deal done? Yeah.
It works that way. You can absolutely use the other person. You can leverage this network and your personal network in so many different ways. And all I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to open your eyes to the possibilities. Okay? Every deal is going to be different. Every deal is going to have these nuances that you've never been here before. Okay? So don't try and use just my formula. Use the principle. That what I always say, formulas can fail, but principles have power. Okay, so use the principle behind it. You can leverage knowledge. When I'm stumped on a thing, I'll go to Leon. I'll go. I mean, he's forgotten more than I've ever learned. Okay, but there's even the credibility. Okay, so many people. I know we have quite a few that have done deals, and we also have quite a few that have never done a deal. So how do you actually have credibility to do, what's my security, like we were just talking about, if you've never done a deal? A lot of you guys are asking that. Well, here's the beautiful thing. Your network, you can leverage someone else's credibility. Okay? You guys have leveraged mine in deals. I've leveraged yours in the same deal. We use the credibility that you already have, that the position, the platform that you have, to be able to benefit, and we're using that right now. We practice what we preach. You can absolutely use that leverage. So if you've never done a deal, I suggest that you talk amongst the group here and you find a mentor. Because the ultimate leverage is mentorship. Okay? The absolute ultimate leverage is to find someone that has what you don't have. If it's experience, if it's knowledge, if it's the money, if it's deal structure and the ability to do it, leverage them here. I mean, Courtney, you've introduced me to some of your mentored students and such. Guys, what a tool that you guys have. What an awesome mentor in your network right here. By all means, leverage. So, any other things?
Any final thoughts here?
Sure.
Any final questions before I
Please.
start, cutting them off?
Oh, I can keep going.
No, you
That's
really
the sad
could.
thing. Please.
Yeah, so how do you find the lender in public record?
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
private money lender in public record.
I'm going to give you a fun little one, actually. I call this my parlor trick. Okay, and again, this is strictly, and it works, don't get me wrong. But this is actually just the beginning, just the basics of it. But I'm going to give you guys a cool little trick you can try. Let's start with this. who all here has an LLC? Okay. I'm just going to ask a couple, for example, you, sir. What's the name of your LLC?
Priceless Glass LLC.
Priceless
Glass.
Glass LLC. I'm going to guess you don't do pizzas.
Correct.
Okay. Ma'am?
Hughes Investments.
Hughes Investments?
Hughes Investments.
Hughes Investments. Okay. I'm going to guess you're in the investment business. Okay. Anybody else?
Kinder Cash Home Buyers LLC.
Again, not a pizza delivery guy. Pretty sure. Okay.
No, not quite.
So what I want you to notice about this, us entrepreneurs have no creativity. None whatsoever, okay? We put what we do right on in there, okay? So, I'm going to try something. I'm going to do this live here, so it may blow up in my face, but
It won't. I'll try it.
I'm going to go to that netaronline.com. I'm going to go to Public Records Online, like we were talking about. Hopefully it'll come up. Yes. Or I can always do that. I'll go Louisiana Secretary of State. Business search. Okay. Search for Louisiana businesses. Okay, so I'm on here. You guys can try this at home. This is one thing you're allowed to try at home. All right. Let's just try, if what I just said is true, you know, that none of us entrepreneurs have any creativity. They put what they do right in their business. Let's try a keyword like private money. Search. I went to private lend. And in public records, less is more. Private lend is all I do. We have Private Lender Services Corp. We have District Private Lending in New Orleans. Sowing Seeds Private Lending. Not pizza delivery. Okay? And by the way, this works in every state in the country. Use the Secretary of State, do keywords. We could try hard money. We could do private money. We could do private lending. We could do private lenders. We could do, there's, just think of the keywords. By the way, that also applies to what, if you're looking for buyers, do the same thing. That's just one little tip that can give you an idea of public records that you can leverage. And the cool thing about these guys, what do they do for a living again? They lend. So they're not private individuals. You don't have to worry about the SEC guidelines of, oh, we don't cold call for money. These guys do it for a living, so you're allowed to call and present deals. So that could be
Gold nugget.
a
I could
cool
have said that
reward.
about 20 times tonight, but gold nugget.
Fair enough. Any other questions?
You could do that with like hunting, man. Like if I'm going to find like some hunting books for a property, so you could just type in hunting and then Secretary of State.
Possibly, absolutely. It's funny you're mentioning that because I'm actually I'm about to leverage a deal structure. We had a very similar thing happen. I'm always looking to build systems. I'll make this one quick. I'm always into building systems. Even a deal like Tampa 3 that I was just talking about, you know, where you make $157,000, it's, you know, that doesn't fully excite me. I mean, it's great to do a deal like that, but even that kind of money spends fast. So what I'm really excited about is when I can leverage a either property owner, property seller, buyer, or money to create a system that's a rinse and repeat and do over and over again. That can be an absolute gold mine. That's what gets me excited. So this happened just last month, and we're about to build a system on this. This lady, one of our students actually calls, says, I've decided, I started a little campaign. I spent $100 on marketing, and I got a call back. I was going to do, I did lots, and I spent $100 on marketing, and I got a call back. And this person has a lot, and they're willing to sell it to me for $500. Okay? So we pull it up in the property appraiser, and it just looks like it's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the street that it's on is almost...
It's landlocked, right?
It was close to landlocked. That one was right on the street, but there's nothing for miles around. We're like, what the heck is going on? So we're like, okay, I don't want to feel bad about it, but this just doesn't. This looks like garbage to me. But okay, well, maybe if we can sell it for a little something. And so I pulled up all the sales in the area, and I noticed that someone had bought, an investor had bought the property just down the road. It was one of the comps for $2,500. Okay, if they can make $2,000, it paid for the mentorship. So we'll see if they'll buy. So, all right. So I call the guy, and the guy says, actually, I was the one that bought it. I sold it to this other group. And when I contacted the other group, turns out the guy, and I couldn't find him under normal circumstances, but I did exactly that. I went to the Secretary of State, and I found him, and he owned a company that was GS Arms. Okay, so he owned a gun shop.
So creative.
Exactly. Yeah, not a pizza delivery guy. So I go ahead, I call him. Turns out that lot is in the middle of a hunting range. And there are over 1,000 lots in there. And if you have one lot in there, you can hunt anywhere in that range. And there are over 1,000 lots in there that can be picked up. He says, if you find any of those lots, we'll buy as many as you can get. So guess what we're going to build? A system right to there. And I mean, if we buy 300 of them with an average profit of only $1,000, not a bad year. Okay, so you can absolutely leverage that type of thing. You can absolutely find, if you have an idea of where those hunting ranges are. By the way, I've learned more about hunting ranges than I ever thought I wanted to know. But you can actually, Guns and Ammo and those trade magazines, you can find out where they are, then match them up to the property appraiser, and you can absolutely find them.
So I hate to do this to you guys, but one of the things I talked about in the beginning was it's been a long day. How many of you guys feel like you have a better understanding of leverage? How many of you guys walked in here thinking of leverage one way, and now you're thinking of leverage a different way now? A little bit more than money, right? How many of you think that was powerful, what he shared? Yeah. So Dave, thank you so much for sharing with us. So one of the things here is, so Paul and I were set to speak here, but we knew Dave was going to be in, eventually Dave came into town. This was an act of leverage here, right? Passing the mic and saying, hey, utilizing our relationships and saying, hey, will you come speak here tonight? Again, leverage is huge. So I want to challenge you to find ways how you can, leverage in your own life. Look, there's ways that you can do deals. So excuses like, I don't have money, not an excuse anymore, right? When you consider leverage. I don't have time, not an excuse. I don't know how to do deals.
Not even
Not-
that's an excuse.
Not even that's an excuse. I don't deliver pizza. So, look, I want to encourage you, if you attend these things and all you do is take notes, but then you don't get out there and try anything, a library that doesn't get used will become dusty and outdated over time, right? That knowledge in that room is only as powerful in that library if it gets put to use. Someone picks up a book and reads it, takes some action. What you learn about here, the only thing that's really going to bring you, results is if you marry action with what you're learning. So I don't care if that looks like you getting an accountability partner of someone here in the room, say, hey, let's meet for coffee every other week and see how we're doing. Again, it's not going to help change your life if it's just, a notebook that gets filled and doesn't ever get used and applied. Leverage is huge. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming. Grab a snack, grab some water. December 8th, we're going to be meeting back here. I'll be letting you guys, however you heard about this, I'll be sharing about what the next topic is going to be. If you want information on some of our sponsors, like a title company or a CPA, it's out there on the table. Look, thank you guys for coming. I want to encourage you guys, find some ways you can put something into action, okay? You guys have a good Thanksgiving. We will see you next time. Thank you again, Dave.